Sunod-sunod sa magpatak ang mga luha ni Agatha. Kahit anong pigil niya ay ayaw tumigil na yun. Naglalakad siya palabas ng ospital. She went to her prenatal check-up alone. Hindi siya nasamahan ni Garrett dahil may importanteng inaasikaso ito. Isa pa, biglaan ang check-up niyang iyon. Her doctor called her up this morning and set an appointment. Ngayon ay alam na niya kung bakit. Naalala pa niya naging pag-uusap nila. We have to abort the child. This is for your own safety. This pregnancy is too risky for the both of you. Hindi kakayanin ng puso mong panganak. Sabi ni Dr. Estanislao. This can't be real. Umiiling na sabi niya. I wish you could keep the baby, Agatha. But I'm sorry, you have to face it. Let go of the child. Kung ipagpapatuloy mo yan, tiyak na mapapahama ka. There's only a little chance he would survive. Luhaang lumabas si Agatha sa klinika ng doktor. Hindi niya maaaring kitilin ang buhay ng kanyang anak. Mas mamatamisin pa niyang siya ang mawala kaysa ang anak niya. She could not afford to see the sadness in Garrett's face if ever they ever lost a child. Hindi ba rin ang siya ang mawala? She could suffer the consequences. Hindi niya hahayaang madamay ang mag-ama niya. She would rather lose her life than lose the child. Garrett could live without her but surely he couldn't take the blow kung sa ikalawang pagkakataon ay mawawalan ito ng minamahal. Siguradong sigurado siya na mahal nito ang anak nila. Nanariwa sa isip niya isang pangyayari. Nagbulungan ng mga kasambahay habang si Yaya Martha naman ay ngiti-ngiti. Muling bumalik ang paningin niya kay Garrett. Nagpalipat-lipat ang mga mata niya rito at sa supot na dala nito. Napakamot ito sa batok. Hindi mo ba gusto ito? I just thought that pregnant woman like this. Alanganin ang pagkakangiti nito. Garrett, are you alright? Nag-aalalang tanong niya. Ipinilig nito ang ulo, which she found very amusing and adorable. Yeah, it's just that... Muli itong kumamat sa batok. Hindi pa niya napagilan ng sariling matawa. Hindi niya alam kung ano nangyari at nabitawan nito ang supot na dala nito na naging dahilan upang mabagsakan ito sa paa. Nagtatalon ito habang hawak ang paa na nabagsakan ng malaking manggang kalabaw. The whole scene was very hilarious. Lalo siyang napabunghalit ng tawa. Tila hindi na rin napigilan ng mga nakapaligid sa kanila ang eksena at tumawa rin ang mga ito. Huminto si Garrett sa pagtalon na makitang pinagtatawanan nila ito. Ang akala niya ay magagalit ito ngunit nakitawa pa ito sa kanila. Isa lamang iyon sa mga pagkakataon na nagpapakita ng concern sa kanya si Garrett. She knew the reason. She was pregnant with his child. May pagkakataon ding umuwi ito na maaga para lang kamustahin siya. O mas tamang sabihin ang bata sa sinapupunan niya. She did not mind at all. Ang importante hindi na ito galit pa sa kanya. But sometimes she was worried. Ayaw niyang sanayin ang sarili niya sa ganoon. Paano kung bumalik ulit ito sa dati? Kailangan niya mag-adjust kapag nagkataon. Naalala pa niya isang pangyayari. Can I sit beside you? Gulat na napalingon siya kay Garrett. Nasa veranda siya at nakaupo sa couch. Marahan siyang tumungo bilang pagpayag. How do you feel? I mean, tila hindi nito madugtungan ang sasabihin. Napapitlag ito nang hawakan niyang kamay nito. Then she placed his hand on her tummy. Can you feel it? Ang tinutukoy niya ay ang paggalon ng baby sa tiyan niya. His eyes widened in amazement. Goodness, Agatha! It moved! It moved underneath my hands. Animo bata itong binigyan ng laruan. Her heart was filled with gladness. Idinikit pa nito ang tenga sa tiyan niya. Hey, baby! Mommy and Daddy are very excited to see you. We love you so much, baby. Tinigasan niya ang anyo niya habang patuloy sa paglalakad, palabas ng ospital. No, not her child. Sisiguraduhin niyang mabubuhay ang kanyang anak. Garrett opened his eyes. Agad na bumangon siya nang ma-realize niyang mag-isa na lamang siya sa kama. Ngunit napahiga ulit siya nang sumakit ang kanyang ulo. Nasaan si Agatha? Nasagot ang tanong niya nang bumukas ang pinto at pumasok si Agatha. She was smiling brightly. His world suddenly lit up, as if a ray of sunshine had entered the room. May bitbit itong paper bag. Kasunod nito si Yaya Martha. Inilapag nito sa side table ang mga bitbit. Kahit nahihirapan, sinikap niyang bumangon. Paglapit ito sa kanya ay agad na kinabig niya ito at niyakap na mahigpit. Garrett? He looked at Yaya Martha. The old woman's eyes were beaming with happiness. Pinahid ito ang gilid ng mga mata nito. Yaya Martha was looking at them contentedly. Mauuna na ako sa inyo mga anak. Paalam ng matanda. Kumala si Agatha sa pagkakayakap sa kanya. Pero akala ko po ba, Yaya? Kaya mo nang alagaan ang asawa mo. Makakagulo lamang ako sa inyo. Ngumiti ito na makahulugan. Si Yaya talaga. Namumulang sabi ni Agatha. Oo nga naman, baby. Makakaistorbo lamang si Yaya sa atin. Pilyong kanindatan pa nito si Yaya Martha na lang nagpamula kay Agatha. O siya, sige. Maiwan ko na kayo. Pagkalabas ni Yaya Martha, agad na inabala ni Agatha ang sarili sa paghahanda ng pagkain niya. Hindi ito tumitingin sa kanya habang ginagawa iyon. Nagtimpla to ng gatas at ibinigay iyon sa kanya. Milk? But I don't drink milk, baby. Sabi ni Garrett. Kumunot ang noo nito. But you have to. Seryosong sabi nito at inabot ang mug sa kanya. Alright. You win. I am going to drink this. Just don't stare at me like that again. Nagsasayaw pa rin ang mga mata nito sa katuwaan. Kumunot ang noo nito. You were looking at me as if you were ready to spank me if I did not obey you. No, I wasn't. Yes, you were. He drank the milk. Hindi niya inilapag ang mug hanggat niya inuubos ang laman niyon. Pagkatapos niyang uminom at ibaba ang mug, ay bigla itong tumawa. Siya naman ang napakulot ang noo. May gatas ka pa sa ibabaw ng bibig mo. Paliwanag pa nito. Mukha ka tuloy may puting bigote. You look so funny and boyish, just like the first time I saw you. At muli itong tumawa. Garrett was stunned. Nakatulala lang siya kay Agatha. Every woman would pale in comparison with her. Hindi na marahil siya mabubuhay nang hindi nasisilayan ng pagtawa nito. Nanigas siya nang bigla itong lumapit sa kanya at punasan ang itaas ng bibig niya. Hindi niya magawang alisin ang mga mata sa magandang mukha nito. She was talking but he did not understand a word she said. Mas nakafocus ang atensyon niya sa bawat paggalaw ng bibig nito. Garrett, naiintindihan mo ba ako? Untag nito. Nope, pag-amin niya. Alright, I'm gonna say it again. Hindi na niya ito pinatapos sa sinasabi nila. He pulled her on top of him and kissed her senseless. Sinundan ni Agatha ang paggalaw ng mga labi ni Garrett. They shifted positions. She was now under him. He was unstoppable. She could not even protest. For goodness sake. They were inside the hospital room. They were making out on the hospital bed. Bumaba ang mga labi nito sa kanyang leeg. Garrett, we are in the hospital. At hindi ka pa magali. He shut her up with a kiss. Who says I'm not well? At hindi ka pa maniniwala? As a matter of fact, I can make love to my wife the whole day. She gasped at the intensity of this desire. Tila siya nasa isang ilog at tuloy-tuloy sa pag-agos. He explored her silky skin. His hands were burning against her flesh. Kiss me back, baby. And so she did. He pulled her up and she ended strangling him. She was burning with passion. She was about to explore him when she heard knocks on the door. Tila hindi yun narinig ni Garrett. He just continued. Kinailangan pa niyang itulak ito palayo para lang mapatigil ito sa ginagawa. Humihingal lumayo siya rito at inayos ang kanyang sarili. Tila ito man ay nagulat din sa intensidad ng lovemaking nila. Lumakas ang mga katok sa pinto. She went to the door hurriedly and opened it. Isang nakakunot noong nurse ang napagbuksan niya. She could not return her gaze. She was guilty. Si Garrett naman kampanteng-kampanteng sumandal sa headboard ng kama. Ilang araw na mula na makalabas ng ospital si Garrett. Magaling na mga sugat ito sa ulo. Gayon din ang mga gasgas nito sa braso. Natutuwa naman si Agatha sa mga nangyayari. A lot of things had changed in their relationship. He had changed in ways she had never imagined, not even in her wildest dream. He was now a different person. She even saw a strange emotion in his eyes that she could not name. Isang araw ipinagluto siya nito. She comfortably sat at the kitchen table, watching him. Garrett, are you sure you know what you're doing? Naaaliw na tanong ni Agatha rito. Nanlalalim kasi ang gatlan nito sa noo, sa pagkakatitig nito sa niluluto. Tila nahihiyang bumaling ito sa kanya at pilit na ngumiti. Yeah, just stay put, baby. I've got this. By all means, she said as her yes twinkled with gladness. Sinimulan nitong pagsamasamahin ng mga rekado. Tila seryosong-seryoso ito sa ginagawa. He looked cute and lovable. The past few days had been amazing. She saw a different side of him, or rather, the real him. Mula na makalabas sa ospital, wala na itong ibang ginawa kundi samahan at alagaan siya. Minsan nga naiisip niyang baka nabago kang ulo nito kaya ito nagbago. But then again, she knew in her heart that it had nothing to do with the accident. Got it. I can help you a bit. Nakangiting sabi ni Agatha. Nahihiyang tumingin ito sa kanya at napakamot sa ulo. A little help maybe. Natawa siya. Natawa rin ito. Tumayo siya at tumabi rito. Let me see that. Napakunot noo siya na matitigan ng laman ng kawali. Got it? What is this? Menudo. Sagot nito habang napapakamot sa ulo. Halatang naiilang ito. Really? It doesn't look like it. She found his expression very amusing and lovable at the same time. Lahat talaga ng mga reaksyon nito, hindi nakakaligtas sa paningin niya. Sorry baby, seems like I got the recipe wrong. You don't really cook, right? As a matter of fact, I do. Bigla itong namula sa kahihiyan. She laughed merrily. We can still save this. Talaga, baby? His eyes beamed with happiness. Tila bata ito na binigyan ng candy. Aha. All you have to do is to sit back and relax. She literally forced him to sit on the chair that she was sitting on a while ago. But baby, he tried to protest but she cut him off. Ako na ang bahala. She started weaving magic on his menudo, even if he couldn't see him. She was sure he was looking at her. She could feel his stares. Maya-maya pa'y natapos niyang pagliligtas sa menudo ni Garrett. He set the table. Ilang saglit pa ay magkaharap na silang kumakain. Naalala niya mga panahong iniinsulto nito ang mga luto niya. He slowly chewed the food. She nervously waited for his response. She almost shouted when he smiled broadly. This is good. Puri nito. Luto mo yan, no? She started eating too. Nope. Yung luto ko tiyak na hindi natin makakain. You saved my menudo. You're really an angel. Ito na ang pinakamasarap na menudo na natikman ko. He gave her his most beautiful smile ever. Kulang ang sabihing tila sumikat ang araw sa harap niya. Her world seemed to stop. She almost heard fireworks. Her chest tightened in controlled emotion. Hindi niya malaman ang gagawin. She just focused her attention on her food. Sunod-sunod na naging subo niya. She just focused her attention. She could actually eat everything on the table the way she felt right now. Baby, are you really that hungry? She looked at him and she noticed the laughter in his eyes. Dali-daling uminom siya ng tubig. She shyly smiled at him. He smiled back at her. Kapag kuwan ay dahan-dahang dumakwang ito papalapit sa kanya. Nakatingin to sa mga labi niya kaya sigurado siyang hinalikan siya nito. Napalunok si Agatha at napatitig din sa mga labi nito. She closed her eyes and waited for his kiss. Ang tagal naman. She impatiently said to herself. Nang hindi pa rin niya maramdaman ang mga labi nito, ay dahan-dahan niyang minulat ang isang mata. He was looking at her. Napadilat na siya ng tuluyan. Malapit na malapit ang mga mukha nila sa isa't isa. She could almost see her reflection in his eyes. His eyes were dancing with laughter. You've got smudges on your lips. Anito. He wiped her lips with his thumb finger. And as much as I want to kiss you, Yaya Martha and the rest of the troops are watching. Tama ito, dahil nakita ni Agatha sa gilid ng kanyang mga mata si Yaya Martha at ang ibang kasambahay na animo mga kitikiti, nagsisikuan at nagbubulungan habang nakasilip sa entrada ng kusina. He kissed her forehead instead and got back on his seat. He winked at her at ipinagpatuloy na ang pagkain. Kahit tila wala pa rin sa sarili, ay masaya niyang pinagpatuloy ang pagkain. Saan ba talaga tayo pupunta, Garrett? Tanong ni Agatha rito. They were driving out of Pagkilatan. She felt excited and nervous at the same time. She could sense that he was up to something. I told you, baby. It's a surprise. He concentrated on his driving. Ilang saglit pa'y tumigil sila sa isang malawak na lupain. Hindi niya alam kung anong lugar iyon at noon lamang din siya nakarating doon. May kahoy na bakod na nakapaligid sa lupain. Hindi niya alam kung gaano kalawak iyon, but she guessed it was thousands of hectares. What place is this, Garrett? Tanong niya rito habang tinatanaw ang buong lupain. You will find out soon, but for now, I have a surprise for you. He blindfolded her. Hindi ko naman birthday Inalaline siya nito maglakad. She wore flat sandals that matched her maternity dress. Nararamdaman ni Agatha sa kanyang paa at binti ang mga damo. She was excited to see his surprise. Kung ano man yon, siguradong maganda yon. He wouldn't blindfold her if this was not something that you would really surprise her. Baby, I'm going to remove your blindfold now, but don't open your eyes just yet. Marahan siyang tumango habang inaalis ito ang takip sa mga mata niya. I will count to 3. Then you can open your eyes. All right. Her heart was pumping madly. 1, 2, 3. She gasped when she finally opened her eyes. She must be dreaming. A very beautiful dream. Puno ng bulaklak ang paligid. Roses, crimsons, tulips, name it. Naggaganda ang bulaklak na hindi niya kayang pangalanan ng iba. In the middle of the flowers was her Garrett. As if in a trance, she slowly walked towards him. She stopped a few inches away from him. Walang sino man sa kanila ang nagsalita. Their eyes did the talking. His eyes were clouded with an emotion that she could not name. He looked like a prince standing in the middle of the flowers. It was like a dream. He spoke softly. This is all yours. This place is all yours. I'm planning to convert it into a villa and name it after you. It will be called Villa Agata. He wrapped her in his arms. Gustong-gusto niya magsalita but could not find the words to say. Her whole being was clouded with an inexplicable emotion. Mahal kita, Agata. Pahayag nito. She froze. Maybe she was just hallucinating. She heard him say that he loved her because that was what she wanted to hear from him. Mahal na mahal kita, Mrs. Agata Vermonte Clavel. Tears fell down from her cheeks. It was the very first time he called her Mrs. Clavel. Her hallucinations were getting better by the minute. She hugged him tighter than he did. She frantically clutched at his shirt as sobs came, one after another. Dahan-dahan siyang inilayo nito rito. He slowly wiped her tears away. She was surprised to see him crying too. Alam kong hindi ka naniniwala sa akin, but I am telling you this over and over. Mahal na mahal kita, Agata. I don't know how or when. Maybe it was the first time I kissed you, your hand, or maybe it was the first time I ever laid eyes on you. Sincerity was evident in his eyes. Garrett, He raised his hands to stop her from talking. Let me finish first. Marami ka nang ginawa for our marriage to work out, and I am not worthy of you. I am not worthy of your love. May namumuong mga luha sa mga mata nito. Kung kaya ko lang ibalik ang panahon, gagawin ko. Sorry for being such a jerk, for thinking the worst about you. I was blinded by my anger. I'm sorry for thinking you married me because of my money, when all along you married me because you loved me. Shocked by his revelations, dahan-dahan siyang umupo sa isang nakatumbang puno. Agata, I'm sorry for everything, for all the pain that I've caused you. I swear pinagsisihan ko lahat ng yun. Her tears fell. They were tears of joy. Mahal siya ni Garrett. This was the happiest moment of her life. Nagangat siya ng paningin dito. Remorse and guilt were written on his face. She slowly walked towards him and sat beside him. She wanted to wipe his tears away and to reassure him that she loved him too, and that she was not angry at him. She raised her hand and touched his face. Kapag umiiyak ka, naiiyak din ako. Kapag nalulungkot ka, parang nadudurog ang puso ko. At kapag nakikita kitang nasasaktan, dobleng sakit ang nararamdaman ko. She looked straight into his eyes. Mahal kita na higit pa sa buhay ko. Hindi ko rin alam kung bakit eh. Ang alam ko lang, nagising na lang ako isang umaga na mahal na kita. I married you because I love you so much. She cupped his face with his hands. Then she kissed him with all the love that she had for him. Mahal ko ang anak natin, but I cannot lose you. Nanigas si Agata sa sinabi ni Garrett. Kapag kuwan ay umalas siya sa pagkakayakap dito. She could see frustration and confusion in his face. Dr. Estanislao told me everything. Why did you lie to me? Napayuko siya. How can I say it? Yeah, how can you say it to a monster like me? He shook his head, and then he held her hands. Hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin. Now it was her turn to shake her head. You don't have to do anything. He kissed her hands. I don't want to let you go. I can't. Tears were starting to form his eyes again. Bahagyang tumigas ang anyo niya. I am not letting go of our child either. Halos matanggal ang ulo niya sa pag-iling. Pinagdikit nito ang mga noo nila. Now I know, baby. And I love you more for that. I love you both. You and our child are the most beautiful things that have ever happened to me. They did not let go of each other's hands. She just could not say it, but she could not let go of him too. She felt like screaming. Life was unfair. Pwede na sila ni Garrett ngayon dahil mahal na rin siya nito. Ngunit di niya magagawa isakripisyo ang buhay ng sarili niyang anak para lamang sa pansarili niyang kaligayahan. Sana ay tumigil ang oras sa pagtakbo. Hawak niya ang kamay ni Garrett na mahigpit at tila ba makakaya niyang pigilan ng oras. Mahal na mahal kita. Hindi ko alam kung ano nangyari pero hawak mo ngayon ang buhay ko. Iniangat nito ang kamay niya. Hawak na ng mga kamay na ito ang buong pagkatao ko. Siya ang kusang yumakap dito. Nahiling niyang sana may paraan pa para. Kung sana lang. Agatha was on the veranda, enjoying the evening air. She could not think straight. Mabuti na lamang at tila balsamang humahaplos sa bawat himaymay ng kaluluwa niya ang malalamig na hanging panggabi. Nevertheless, uncertainty filled her heart. Hindi tamang ipakita niya kay Garrett kung gaano niya ito kamahal. 5 buwan na nasa sinapupunan niya. Ibig sabihin 4 na buwan na lamang ang ilalagay niya sa piling nito. And showing him her love would be selfishness on her part. Iiwan din niya ito. Ang dapat niyang gawin ay sanayin ito nang wala siya. It was the painful truth. She would die in 4 months' time and they couldn't do anything about it. It was better for them to get used to that fact now. She had to. Maya-maya may yumakap sa mga braso sa kanya mula sa likuran. Wala namang ibang yayakap sa kanya kundi si Garrett. He buried her face against her shoulder and inhaled her scent. She closed her eyes. How could she think of ways to be apart from him if he was this close? Promise me, we will never give up. Anito. Nagsimula na namang manikip ang dibdib ni Agatha. She closed her eyes and savored the moment. This moment would stay in her mind and in her heart forever. Napadilat siya nang bumitiw ito sa kanya at maraan siyang ipinihit paharap dito. She tried to look away but he cupped her face and captured her gaze. She was drowning in his eyes. Walang ibang masasalamin sa mga mata nito kundi sinseridad at determinasyon. Promise me we won't give up. We won't let fate overcome us. We will fight for our love no matter what. Mabubuhay kayo ng anak natin. That I promise you. Garrett, I'm gonna die. No, don't say that. I will be damned if I'm going to let you die without doing anything. You will leave. And don't you ever say that you are gonna die. Tumigas ng bahagya ang anyo nito at muling napuno ng determinasyon. Garrett. Muling dumaloy ang kanyang mga luha. We are going to talk to Dr. Estanislao tomorrow. We will take whatever chances we've got, gaano man kaliit yun. If she turns us down then we're going to ask for a second opinion. We can have the best doctors in the country or even abroad. He was crying now. Higit pa marahil sa ginagawa niyang pag-iyak, she believed him. She had all the reasons in the world to give up, but his eyes told her a different story. His eyes gave her so much hope. Kung hindi lang sana sinabi ni Garrett na mahal siya nito, hindi sana magiging komplikado ang lahat. She would die peacefully and contentedly, pero ngayong alam na niya na mahal siya nito ay hindi niya maiwasang umasa. She wanted to live. She did not want to leave him and their child. She wanted to be with them. Just like what he told her, they would take whatever chances they've got. I love you, Garrett, and I will fight for our family no matter what. Hindi ko kayo iiwan ng anak natin. Nakangiti siya kahit tuloy-tuloy sa pagtulo ang mga luha niya. He brought her close to his chest. I love you too, and I am not letting go of you. Hope springs eternal. Now she believed in that. Hindi rin posible dati na mahalin siya ni Garrett, ngunit nagkatotoo iyon. Noon ay walang dahilan para lumaban siya. But it was a different story now. Magkasama nilang lalabanan at haharapin ang lahat. Mahigpit na magkahugpong ang mga kamay ni Agatha at Garrett. Papunta sila sa klinik ni Dr. Estanislao. Garrett kissed his wife's hand and held it tight. Ayaw niyang bitawan iyon kahit saglit. He had been such a jerk, but that was before. He would do everything within his power to save her. Last night surpassed everything. Wala pa siyang taong pinangakuan ng ganoon. Dito pa lang siya nangako. He was willing to give up everything for her and their child. Ilang saglit pa'y huminto na sila sa tapat ng ospital kung saan naroon ang klinik ni Dr. Estanislao. Ilang saglit pa nasa loob na sila ng klinik. He inhaled deeply. This is it. He gave his wife a reassuring look. Please have a seat, Mr. and Mrs. Clavel, ani Dr. Estanislao. Umupo sila sa visitor's chair pagkatapos makipagkamay sa doktor. They were still holding each other's hands tightly. So, what is your decision? Tanong ng doktor. We are keeping the baby. Mabilis sa sagot niya. As I have said before, the pregnancy would be too risky, Agatha. You might die of complications. Your heart might not take it. Huminga ng malalim ang doktor. Are you sure you want this? Inunahan siya ni Agatha sa pagsagot. Yes, we are willing to take even the slightest chance. Please, Dr. Estanislao, help us. Marahang tumango ang doktor. To tell you honestly, The chances of survival are very low. Only a miracle can change things as it is. Please, Dr. Estanislao. I will give everything. I'm willing to pay twice. No, thrice as much. Take all my money if you want. Damn it! Just save my wife and my child. Pinukpok niya ang desk ng doktora. Got it! Hinawakan ni Agatha ang kamay niya upang payapain siya. Nang tignan niya ito ay mabilis na humupa ang galit niya. I will help you. I will try my best. Wika ni Dr. Estanislao. I'll check up on you again. Maaring maliit lamang ang chances, pero siguradong panghahawakan pa rin ninyo iyon gaano man kaliit yun. Might as well hold on to whatever hope you've got. Your problem is not congenital heart disease, but congestive heart failure, ani Dr. Estanislao. What does that mean? Tanong ni Agatha habang mahigpit na nakahawak sa braso ni Garrett. Kung congenital ang disease mo, we need further test done on you. We need to determine on what stage your sickness is in. Malamang nawala na talagang pag-asa. But I can see some hope if you got congestive heart failure. Agad ang pagbaha ng tuwa sa dibdib niya. Maging si Garrett ay nagliwanag sa labis sa katuwaan. Is there any medication I could take to cure this? Tanong nito. Any medication you take during pregnancy can affect your baby. Her heart sank. So, cannot we do anything about it? Mabining umiti ang doktora. However, I can suggest some medication with low dosage. I can't promise you that it would heal you completely, but at least this can help. What do you mean? Tanong ni Garrett. It's a good thing that you haven't had any attacks yet. We've got to be careful about this. Or should I say you've got to take good care of your wife, Mr. Clavel? I will give you pointers on how to avoid attacks. She paused for a while. Our chances of success are improving. Marami kang dapat iwasang mga bagay, Agatha. Kung hindi ka pa rin magkakaroon ng mild attack hanggang sa bago ka manganak, maaring makaligtas kayo ng anak mo. But then again, I'm not giving you 100% assurance. We will take whatever chances we've got. Punong-puno ng pag-asa ang tinig at mukha ni Garrett. He kissed her hand and smiled at her. She smiled back at him. Marami pang sinabi ang doktor, mga payo tungkol sa kalagayan niya. Garrett was so serious about it. He even took down notes. There might still be a chance for them. Her heart was filled with hope at the thought. Another 2 months had passed, and Agatha was now 7 months pregnant with her baby. So far, everything was going according to plan. Napagpasya nila ni Garrett na wag muna ipaalam kahit kaninong kalagayan niya. Maging sa mga magulang nila ay tinago rin nilang totoo. Malaki ang naitulong ng payo ni Dr. Estanislao. Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-inom niya ng mga medication at vitamins. Regular din ang pagbisita nila sa doktor. Hindi na siya nagpa-ultrasound upang alamin ang gender ng kanyang anak. They wanted it to be a surprise. Garrett went home early every day. He took good care of her. He was everything she could ask for. Mabilis at madalas ay nasa bahay ito at inaalagaan siya. He treated her like a princess and he was her prince. There were times when she couldn't avoid thinking about death. Despite everything they did, the fact still remained that she could die in 2 months' time. The hands of time were moving faster. Ayaw niyang lubusan siyang umasa. Ngunit kabaliktaran ang nangyayari kapag nakatitig siya sa mga mata ni Garrett. She could actually hope for a better future with him around. His eyes gave her the promise of a better tomorrow and a bright future with him. She wanted to spend every day with him beside her. One day they went to the beach. It was a private beach resort in Laia which was owned by Garrett's parents. He brought her there one afternoon. 5:00 ng hapon, kaya hindi na mainit ang sikat ng araw. She lay on the blanket on the sand while her husband flew a kite. She did not know that flying a kite on the beach was even possible until now. Lumingon si Garrett sa kanya at kinawayan siya. She could see him smiling from a distance. She waved back at him. Come here, baby. I will teach you how to fly a kite. He shouted so she could hear him. Umiling siya. Ikaw na lang. Manonood na lang ako. She shouted back at him. I love you, baby. She giggled involuntarily. I love you too. She could never be happier. Ilang saglit pa'y nakita niya itong tumatakbo papalapit sa kanya. Na makalapit ito, kinintilan siya rito ng halik sa mga labi. I'm hungry, babe. Let's eat. Yaya pa nito sa kanya. I will be the one to prepare our meal. Putol ni Garrett sa kanya sabay kindat. He earnestly prepared their food. Inilabas ito ang lahat ng laman ng picnic basket at mabilis ang inihain. Napapalakpak si Agatha sa dami ng mga pagkain. Everything looked yummy. Most of it were fruits and vegetables. "Babe, tataba ako nito." Kunwari reklamo niya. He laughed merrily. "Don't worry, babe. I'd still love you kahit maging kasinlapad ka pa ng refrigerator." "Hoo! Bola!" Ang lakas ng tawa nito. "I am telling you the truth, baby." Dumukwang ito at hinilot ang noon niya upang alisin ang gatla roon. Napangiti siya. Nang akapang magsasalita ito ay dumampot siya ng kiyat-kiyat. Wala nang balat yun, kaya sinalpak niya yun ang buo sa bibig nito. Now it was her turn to laugh. She immediately gathered some grapes and put them all inside his mouth so he could not speak. In turn, he picked up the bowl of fruit salad and got a spoonful of it and did the same thing to her. Wala siya nagawa kundi ngayon ang sinubo nito. Hindi pa man niya halos nalulunok iyon ay muli na naman siyang sinubuan nito. Siguro isang bakol ang mukha niya dahil sa pagkalakas-lakas ng tawa nito. Muli siyang dumampot ng ubas at isinubo iyon dito. He did the same thing to her while laughing. Gusto niyang mainis at gumanti ulit, ngunit natawa na lamang siya. He reached for her and kissed her. Hindi na niya nagawang tumunugon dahil bigla siyang na-outbalance. They fell to the ground sideways. Nanatili lamang sila nakahiga at nakatagilid, looking into each other's eyes. He traced the contours of her face. "I wish we could stay like this forever." She held his face, her throat constricted with sudden emotion. Hindi naman pwedeng nandito lang tayo habang buhay. Papaano kung umulan? She tried to crack a joke. He smiled. "We will be together forever, Agatha Clavel. That I promise you." He kissed her hands. Right then and there, she felt like bursting into tears. She wanted to believe that they could be together forever. "Mahal kita, Garrett Clavel. Whatever happens, I will always love you." Bumangon ito at tumayo. Inilahad ito ang kamay sa harap niya. She reached for it and as soon as she was on her feet, he hugged her. "Walang mangyayari sa iyo, Agatha. Walang mangyayari sa inyo ng anak natin." She wished that time would stand still. His arms promised her safe haven. The warmth he gave brought her the highest comfort she could ever wish for. Agatha was busy preparing dinner. Isang oras na lamang at darating ang mga magulang nila ni Garrett. She invited them over for dinner. Hindi alam ni Garrett ang ginawa niya. She wanted to surprise him. Tiyak na mauunang dumating ang mama at papa niya dahil sa karatig bayan lamang nakatira ang mga ito. Hindi gaya ng mga magulang ni Garrett. Isa pa ay namimiss na rin naman niya ang mga magulang niya. Halos ilang buwan na rin niyang hindi nakikita mga ito. She was almost 9 months pregnant with her baby. "Ma'am Agatha, parang may malaking okasyon na." Puna na isang kasambahay na katulong nila, ni Yaya Martha sa paghanda. "Oo nga, ma'am." Segunda ng isa. Darating sina mama at papa, pati sina mommy at daddy. Maiksing paliwanag ni Agatha habang nilalagay sa serving plate ang mga ulam. "Akala ko po kasi." "Akala mo ano?" Curious na tanong niya. "Akala ko po anniversary ninyo ni Sir." Tila nahihiyang sabi nito. Kayo talaga. Umira na naman yung pagkatsismosa ninyo." Sawata ni Yaya Martha sa mga ito. Napaisip siya ng malalim. Tama, anniversary nga nila ni Garrett. Nakalimutan na rin niya yon dahil sa mga pangyayari nitong mga nakaraang buwan. Kung siya'y nakalimutan niya, malamang ganun din si Garrett. Bahagya siyang nalungkot sa isiping yun. Ngunit agad na binura niya iyon sa isip. Garrett loved her and that was enough for her. Minadali nila ang paghanda kaya naman bago mag-alas 7, natapos na nila lahat ang preparasyon. Eksaktong katatapos na nila makaramdam siya ng bahagyang pagkahilo. Tila kinakapos din siya ng hininga. She felt a sudden sense of terror. Mariin siyang napapikit sa upuan habang sapaw ang dibdib niya. "Agatha?" Agad dinilohan siya ni Yaya Martha. Umiikot ang paningin niya. The last thing she saw was Garrett's arms coming around her before everything went black. Agatha's eyelids felt so heavy she couldn't open them immediately. She heard noises around her. Familiar voices. Pinilit niyang imulat ang kanyang mga mata. Ang nag-aalalang mukha ni Garrett ang una niyang nasilayan. He laced his fingers around hers. She could see tears in his eyes. Ang sumunod na nakita niya ay ang nag-aalalang mukha ng mga magulang nila. She automatically touched her tummy, then her eyes went to Garrett again. The baby is fine. Pagbibigay assurance ito na tila nabasang nasa isip niya. Nakahinga siya ng maluwag. "Agatha anak, bakit ninyo sinabi?" Tanong ng mama niya. Her mother's face was full of worry. Halata rin na galing to sa pag-iyak, kanya na tila maiiyak na naman ito. Tila pigil na naman ng kanyang ama ang emosyon nito, although she could see anger in his eyes. Pag-aalala at panlulumo naman ang mababakas sa mga mukha ng mga biyenan niya. "Why didn't you tell us, son?" Tanong ng father-in-law niya. Hindi nakaimik si Garrett. "You should have told us earlier. We could have done something about it," sabi ni Mommy Icy. "You almost had an attack a while ago. You shouldn't have worn yourself out." Anang mama niya na napahugulhol na ng tuluyan. "We thought you've been healed of that disease." Agad hinil ng papa niya ang kanyang mama. Sumubsob ang mama niya sa dibdib ng papa niya at doon na rin tuluyang napaluha ang papa niya. "Did you do it on purpose, Garrett?" Matalim ang boses sa tanong dito ng mommy nito. She could see hurt in Garrett's eyes and she was instantly hurt too. She could not afford to see him hurt, especially if he was not the only one to be blamed. "It is my entire fault," she bravely said to everyone. "I did not tell Garrett about the risk involved in my pregnancy. Hindi ko rin kaagad yun nalaman. He is not the one to be blamed." "Nagdesisyon ako na hindi hinihingi ang opinyon niya," paliwanag ni Agatha. "At kahit panalaman niya o nino man, hindi pa rin magbabago ang desisyon ko. Bubuhayin ko pa rin ang bata at mas pipiliin ko pa rin ang buhay niya kaysa sarili kong buhay. Kahit ano pa man ang mangyari, mahal ko ang batang to. I would risk my own life for his life." Malalim na ang gabi, ngunit hindi pa rin makatulog si Agatha. Tulad ng dati, pinagpalipasan nilang gabi roon ang mga magulang nila. Hindi na nila muling pinag-usapan ang tungkol sa nagkagayan niya. Nauunawaan na rin marahil ng mga ito kung anong nararamdaman niya. Garrett went downstairs to get her a glass of milk. She was sitting on the lazy boy na nakaharap sa veranda. Binuksan niya ang glass panel upang matanaw niya ang kalangitan. The skies were full of stars, and starry nights were supposed to be a beautiful sight that could soothe a gloomy feeling. But they were of no use to her right now. She suddenly felt she was crying. Pinapahin niya yun ang maramdaman ng mga kamay ni Garrett sa balikat niya. She pulled him closer to her. Bahagya siyang umisal at pinaupo ito sa tabi niya. Pinasandig naman siya nito sa dibdib nito. "I have a good idea, babe." Anito kapag kuwan. "What is it?" "Let us think of a name of our baby." She smiled. "That's a good idea. Well, if it's a baby boy, I want to name it after you. He would be Garrett Clavel Jr. He laughed. "Really? Okay then. If it's a girl, I will name it after you. I'm pretty sure she will be as beautiful as you are." She giggled at the thought. "I'm sure if he is a boy, he will be a lot like you, and surely be more handsome than you." "Well, I cannot argue with that." He grinned. "And if she is a girl, she will probably be well pampered by you," she added. "Lalaking mabuti ang anak natin. Natitiyak ko. I am sure you will raise him well. Siguradong bubusugin mo siya sa pagmamahal. Mamahalin mo siya ng gaya ng pagmamahal mo sa akin." She could feel him trembling. May naramdaman siyang pumatak sa kamay niya. She looked up to him and saw he was crying even as he smiled. "You would always be around. We will nurture him together. We will see him grow up. We will take care of him together." She was crying now. Makikita natin siyang lumaki, and someday he will also meet someone who would love him as well. Mariingay nagganito ang kamay niya. "Oh yeah, someone like you. And someone like you too." Dugtong niya. He kissed her forehead. "Happy anniversary, baby." Maang na napatingin si Agatha rito. "You remember?" "Yes." May dinukot ito sa bulsa nito. It was a platinum ring. She was stunned. Simple lamang iyon at nagtatampo ka ng isang brilliant dito sa gitna. She fell in love with it instantly. Hinugod ito ang gold ring sa daliri niya at baliwalang inihagis iyon sa kung saan. Ipinlit ito roon ang hawak nitong singsing. "I have mine too." Iniangat ito ang kaliwang kamay upang ipakita sa kanya ang kaparehang singsing. "It's beautiful," sambit niya. "I'm glad you like it. That other ring is not ours. I did not choose it, nor did you. This ring, on the other hand, I gave it to you as a sign of my undying love. Happy 4th anniversary, Garrett." He kissed her softly on the lips. It was full of emotion and love he had for her. "We will grow old together. We will celebrate our 5th anniversary. 10th, 25th, 50th. We will see our child grow up, Mary, and have kids. He will give us lots of grandchildren." "Yes," natatawang sang-ayon ni Agatha. They were crying and laughing at the same time, kissing and hugging and listening to each other's heartbeat. Her heart swelled with love for this man, Her heart ached for him all the more. Hindi niya akalaing darating ang ganoong sandali. Whatever happens, even if my heart stops beating, it will not stop from loving you. Nakahiga sa stretcher si Agatha, tinutulak ng mga nurse. Garrett held her hand ever so tightly. She did not want to let go of his hand. Malakas siya kapag hawak na iyon. Garrett, don't let go of my hand. Nahihirapang pakiusap niya rito. I won't, baby. I won't. She saw fear and worry in his eyes. This was the moment of truth. There were only two options. She would either make it out alive or not. She wasn't ready to leave Garrett yet. I love you, Garrett. I love you too, he frantically said. Pagbukas ng operating room, agad na hinarang si Garrett ng isang nurse. Sorry sir, pero hanggang dito na lang po kayo. Hindi po kayo pwede sa loob. Nakita niyang panlulumos sa mukha nito hanggang sa unti-unting sumara ang pinto ng OR. She was going to give her baby by a cesarean section because of her heart condition. Naramdaman niya ang pagtusok ng karayom sa balat niya dahil sa pagturok na anesthesia at pampatulog. Maya-maya pa'y unti-unti nang bumigat ang talukap ng mga mata niya hanggang sa tuloy na siyang mapapikit. Garrett's image was very clear in her mind. She could imagine his handsome face smiling at her. It gave her more than enough courage to survive this before she finally succumbed to a deep sleep. Garrett used all his might to stop himself from crying. He had to be strong for Agatha and their baby. He did not pray often or call to God. Actually, he really did not pray at all. But at that very moment, he couldn't really rely on anything or anyone but God. He felt something touching his back. It was her mother. Kasama nito ang kanyang ama at in-laws niya. Hindi na niya nakayanan pa ang nadaramang emosyon. Tila batang umiiyak siya sa mga bisig nito. Mommy, I cannot live without her. I love her so much. Napahagulhol na siya sa sobrang takot at lungkot na nadarama. I won't be able to forgive myself if something happens to her. Hindi ako mabubuhay nang wala siya. Shh! Nothing will happen to Agatha. She will be safe. Sila ng anak ninyo. They patiently and worriedly waited outside the OR. Pagkalipas sa ilang oras, sabay-sabay na napatayo sila nang lumabas doon si Dr. Estanislao. Siya ang unang lumapit dito. He swallowed the lump in his throat before he asked her about his wife and the child. Dr. Estanislao's answer almost made him faint. 6 months later, Garrett walked slowly, as if he were walking on clouds. He carried 2 bouquets of white roses. He was at the Ruby Memorial Park. Nasa bayan yun ng Ilihan, na ilang bayan ang pagitan sa Pagkilatan. He had traveled all the way from Pagkilatan to visit the graves of his loved ones. He felt a sudden sense of sadness as he got closer to the graves. Nang marating niya ang mga iyon, saglit na titigan niya ang 2 puntod. Kapag Juan, inilapag sa ibabaw niya ng mga bouquet ng bulaklak na dala niya. Nag-alay muna siya ng munting panalangin bago siya sumalampak ng upo sa damuhan. Napansin niyang marami ng damong tumubo sa kaliwang puntod, kaya isa-isa niyang binunot ang mga iyon. When he was finished, he smiled and realized that he had done that for the first time. You know what? I should have been angry with both of you. Just because I can't, lalo na sa'yo. He faced the grave on the left. You see? Nagbubunot ako ng damo ngayon. Tiyak na buhay ka lang ay pagtatawanan mo ako. I know this is so unlike me. He laughed softly. This is all your fault, but I want to thank you just the same. When you died, a part of me died too. I loved you then, but now I'm finally setting you free. Huminga siya ng malalim. Nagbago ako mula nang mawala ka. Naging mas mabuting tao na ako ngayon. I have learned so many things. I've learned how to listen. I have learned how to care. I have learned how to worry, how to be sad, how to exist, and most of all, I have learned how to love truly with all that I have. Ngumiti siya. Thank you for being part of my life. At huwag kayong mag-alala. Napatawad ko na kayong dalawa. He smiled again. Goodbye to both of you. May mabining hanging humaplos sa kanyang mukha bago siya tuluyang tumalikod sa mga puntod ni na Geraldine at Uncle Alexander. Muli siyang napangiti. Habang naglalakad siya palabas sa sementeryo, umihip ang malamig na hangin na tila nagbabadya ng kaginhawaan. Tumingala siya sa kalangitan. The sky was so clear and blue. He had never seen the sky look as good as this. Maluwag na ang pakiramdam niya dahil sa ginawang pagpapatawad niya sa dating kasintahan at tiyuhin. There was only one reason for that. Everything he had and everything he was right now, he owed it to one person. the one who taught him everything about the word love. Finally, he could go on with his life. He could now be fully happy for the rest of his life. Binilisan na niya ang paglakad. Got it! Dagling hinayon niya ng tingin ang tumawag sa kanya. He smiled broadly. Tinakbo na niya ang ilang nalalabing distansya sa pagitan nila. Agatha was smiling sweetly at him. Yes, she was alive. And so was their baby. Nalagpasan ng mga itong panganib ng anak ito. Totoong nagmimilagro ang Diyos. Kung may salita lamang nahihigit pa sa love, yun ang marahil ang naramdaman niya para dito. Eksaktong pagtapat niya rito, agad na sinaklit niya ito sa bewang at iniangat ito sa lupa. He wanted to hug her all the time. He wanted to be sure that this was not just part of a beautiful dream. He wanted to feel her to know that she was real, that she was really with him. Tumindi ito. Garrett, ano ka ba? Ibaba mo ako, nakakahiya. Baka may makakita pa sa atin. So what? They should be envious because I'm with the most beautiful woman in the world. Garrett? She giggled. She eventually stopped complaining. Instead, she buried her face on his neck. I love you, Garrett, she whispered. He grinned and shouted his answer. I love you, Agatha Clavel. I love you so much. He slowly released her and searched her face as if he was memorizing every inch of it. Then he slowly kissed her, a kiss that promised a happy life with him. They kissed passionately and thoroughly as if there was no tomorrow. He slowly ended the kiss and looked straight into her eyes. I love you. You are a godsend to me. I will never ever let you go. And I promise to protect you. You and our son are the most beautiful things that ever happened to me. Maemosyong pahayag niya. She tiptoed and kissed him. Speaking of our son, I'm sure he is enjoying his grandfather and grandmother's company. Tumango si Agatha bilang pagsang-ayon. Kapag na inakbayan niya ito at inakay papunta sa may sasakyan nila. Nakasandig ang ulo nito sa dibdib niya habang naglalakad sila. Pagdating nila sa kotse nila, hinawakan niya ito sa mga kamay niya. I will give you everything you wish for. I am not God or a genie, but I will give what you want as long as it is within my power. Aniya rito. Really? Yes. Do you have any wishes? She stared at him with a dreamy look in her eyes. Baby, what's your wish? He asked her again. Are you happy? She asked in return. I've never been happier in my life. She smiled. Then my wish just came true. Your happiness is the fulfillment of my wish. Wika nito. Then she pulled him close and kissed him. Tunay ngang makapangyarihan ng pag-ibig. Kahit anong tago mo sa nararamdaman mo, kung puso ng desisyon ay wala ka na magagawa kundi ang pakawalan at sundin ito. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng sumubaybay. Sana'y naibigan ninyo ang short love series natin. Magkita-kita po tayong muli sa mga susunod pa nating istorya.